Hello, and welcome to the premiere episode of The Coin Chat, the only podcast you'll need for all things cryptocurrency. Every week, we're going to cut through the noise and misinformation out there in blockchain, cryptocurrency, and ICOs to capture the facts that truly matter. Today, I'm going to start this intro episode with a bit of trivia. What is the one alternative currency that probably everybody knows and loves, but nobody would think of if somebody asked you to name an alternative currency? So while you're thinking about that, I'd like to introduce you to your host, financial expert and CEO of Coinvestors.io, Steve Good.
Hello, Yuri. It's great to be here, and welcome everyone to the Coin Chat. I'm super excited about the episodes we're going to be doing, talking about a whole range of things in cryptocurrency, and the guests that we've got lined up over the coming episodes as well.
Steve, that's awesome. It's absolutely a pleasure to chat with you today about this. You're a cryptocurrency expert that a lot of people, including myself, turn to for advice. So on this podcast, what are some things that you're going to be covering?
So, the first thing is, I talk to a lot of people, as you know, in the world of starting out in crypto. And what I see is a lot of people are just struggling how to get started. What is crypto? What's an ICO? How do I spot a scam? What are the kind of basic things I should know but just aren't obvious? And really what we want to do is try to cover as many topics and range of things we can to help people, educate people, and just give them an opportunity to really get into cryptocurrency and understand even where they should invest and how to look for more information. So really kind of a one-stop for everything around crypto to help people get started and to learn as we go.
That's great. And if people have questions throughout all of this, what's the best place to reach you?
The best place to reach me is actually on our Telegram channel, which is t.me/coinvestors. T is for Telegram. So you've got to download the Telegram app, and then you just take yourself right to that channel. Or you can also do is @Coinvestors if you're on Telegram, and join the group. And I'm on there all the time. So it's the best place to catch me.
For the last couple of minutes, our listeners have been thinking about a little bit of trivia that I've left them with. And let's see if they get it right. So let me ask you, Steve, what is the one alternative currency that probably everybody knows and loves, but nobody would think of if somebody asked them to name an alternative currency?
Well, Yuri, I'm not going to answer that right away.
Of course you're not.
There's a whole range of interesting topics around alternative currencies. And let me throw a few others out there first, just to kind of get people thinking about what the best one would be or the most interesting one that everyone would know and love.
Okay.
So probably the one currency we all know to start with would be something like barter, where you can buy or sell goods and services by trade. And that started back in the early days before we even had government-backed currencies or any form of currency at all. And this is how people traded. Now, of course, in modern day, we know some of the more alternative ways of trade in terms of barter being things like airline miles and reward points at shops. So that's pretty common for alternative currency. But there are some other things that are really interesting. So, for example, here's one you might like, Yuri.
Okay.
Did you know that when Zimbabwe's economy collapsed in 2009 and the currency was tanked, that the citizens were using talk time minutes as an alternative currency?
What? No, I did not know that.
Yeah. So, okay, that's cool. So I've got a better one for you. So in the town of Brixton in the UK, they actually have their own Brixton currency that they use for local trade so that people will be encouraged to maintain and build the local community. So you can actually go into shops and buy and sell with Brixton pounds, and the local shopkeepers who receive those will then be encouraged to use the Brixton pounds by buying other goods and services from other shops within Brixton.
Huh.
And there are actually a number of local currencies that have existed and do exist around the world, just something that we don't normally hear about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on a completely different note, have you ever heard of Suds for drugs?
No, that sounds like the worst 90s PSA ever. Please tell me more about this.
So Suds for drugs, sadly, it goes back to sometime between 2011 and 2013 in Maryland in the U.S., very close to Washington, D.C., where drug dealers were stealing Tide detergent for washing clothes, and they were using it as barter to buy crack. So yet another alternative currency that's probably better as a Ponzi scheme than Bitcoin, or not.
Definitely. I bet you Tide loves that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, moving on to something a little bit more relevant, in 1934, there was an alternative currency created by the WIB Bank in Switzerland, which is called the Wir Franc, WIR franc, which is the world's probably first real alternative currency that was really used as a method for trade between businesses. It was actually started by a businessman called Werner Zimmermann and Paul Enns. And as a result of the currency shortage and the global financial instability that was occurring during that time, they actually ended up getting a banking license in 1936. Now, what's interesting is that the word Wir for the Wir Bank is both an abbreviation for the name of the bank, which is Wirtschaftsring, and is also the word for we, which is interesting because it tells you that the we generation of millennials actually started in 1934, and for all we know, there was some millennial who went back in time and started, or the millennial generation started in 1934 and has become a movement over time. But the interesting thing is that this Wir currency still exists today. It started with only 16 members at the time, and now it's grown to 62,000 members. They have total assets of around 3 billion Swiss francs. Can you imagine?
Wow, that's absolutely amazing.
And it's still a circulated currency that's got equity in the system of around 44 million. So it's still an actively used currency that's used amongst a lot of businesses, and it's active and it's in use. And that's just, it's mind-boggling to think it's been around that long and it's not even that well known. And it never took off. And funny enough, they probably should have done an ICO and converted it into the Wir coin.
They would nowadays.
And maybe we should approach them and help them and make sure that we tell them not to make a scam out of it.
I think we definitely should. That'd be great.
So that takes us to the question that you did ask, which was about the alternative currency we all know and love. And this is just sort of a fun one as a throwaway for finishing off this episode and kind of a quick introduction. So we all as children were always given things like stars or various types of rewards. But the one reward construct or concept that we've all heard about, or many people have heard about, is brownie points.
Oh yeah, brownie points.
So brownie points are really just a method of giving children points that they can exchange for something that they've done. And usually it's a reward or something, but you're earning brownie points because of the fact that we're giving people something for something they've done.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Monopoly money, but brownie points are so much better.
Well, only if you get houses and hotels, then it's all right.
Right.
And Yuri, that's just the beginning, because every week we're going to be giving you, our listeners, a ton of valuable information, and occasionally we will invite other experts to come in and participate with us, or sometimes not experts to come and participate, just to get things going, to keep things active, entertaining, and to really help people, our listeners, learn a lot about cryptocurrency. We'll be bringing in surprise guests that will range from award-winning musicians to Super Bowl champions, and that's just in the first few episodes that we get going, and we'll keep on going from there.
Well, Steve, I really like what you have cooking. This sounds fantastic. This podcast is going to be a game changer for anybody who listens to it. So I think we shouldn't stall this anymore. Let's give the people what they really want, which is episode 1.
Great. Thank you, Yuri. Episode 1 will be called Introduction to Cryptocurrency. I'm sure no surprise after following on from our little discussion on alternative currency, we're going to jump right in and tell you a little bit more about what is cryptocurrency.